Some trucks are built just to work hard. Others exist to make you question reality. You're about to meet machines so bold for their time that people still argue about them online. You'll see turbines where you expected pistons, wheels that move like centipede legs, and shapes that look more like sculpture than transport. Imagine a truck with 24 driven wheels, another with a roaring gas turbine like a jet, and one that turned every delivery into a street performance. These aren't just vehicles. They're proof that engineers sometimes go a little mad in the best possible way. So buckle up, because we're going to chase the wildest ideas that ever rolled on rubber. And yes, the last one will absolutely blow your mind. Let's start in the Sahara Desert, because of course the story of giant ambition begins in endless sand. In the 1950s, the French maker Berliet built something that didn't just look large, it redefined large. They called it the T100. It was so big that photographs barely made sense. The cab looked like a house. The tires were taller than most people. Under that hood sat a massive V12 diesel, almost 30 liters, pushing roughly 600 horsepower at first and later up to 700. It wasn't built to rush. It was built to move drilling gear and heavy loads across dunes where roads didn't exist, doing the kind of work where failure is not an option. Oil crews depended on it. And when the job was done, the T100 became legend. One of these giants went back to France to be preserved. Another remained in Algeria as a desert monument to excess and courage. Largest truck in the world wasn't just bragging. It was earned for a good chunk of the 1950s and beyond. Now, you've seen trucks with one trailer, maybe two. But what if I told you someone tried to build a truck that was basically a land train, hundreds of feet long, driven by turbines and able to crawl over anything? That's exactly what the Le Tourneau TC497 Overland Train Mark II tried to be. Picture a spaceship that traded rockets for wheels. Each wheel module had its own electric drive. Power came from gas turbine generators, so you had the simplicity of electric motors with the punch of a turbine. Fully assembled, it could stretch to roughly 570 feet, longer than many city blocks. It was meant to carry supplies across terrain where roads were a fantasy. The U.S. Army tested it in the Arizona desert, and for a moment it looked like the future of freight in places too wild for rail. But helicopters got bigger, budgets got tighter, and the overland train faded into museum status. Amazing to look at, impossible to forget. You can still find the control car on display at Yumu Proving Ground today. Maybe you're thinking, okay, turbines and trains on wheels. But did anyone try a jet-age highway rig? Oh yes, Ford did, and they called it Big Red. Debuting at the 1964 New York World's Fair, it towered over the crowds like a red skyscraper on wheels. The idea was simple and crazy at the same time. Put a 600 horsepower gas turbine in a full-size semi and prove that the jet age could make trucking smoother, cleaner, quieter. Big Red was nearly 100 feet long with its tandem trailers, and Ford made films showing it glide down highways with a sound more whoosh than rumble. It could cruise at highway speeds and packed futuristic comforts for the driver. People were stunned. So why didn't we all end up with turbine semis? Fuel economics, heat, and the harsh realities of turbine maintenance killed the dream. Still, the legend never died. Footage and photos keep resurfacing, and Big Red remains one of the most daring prototypes Ford ever built. Before we go any further, let's shift gears from brute force to pure design. Imagine you're standing on a 1930s street corner. Down the block comes a silver-blue teardrop with a curved glass windshield and no visible fenders. People stop, jaws drop. It's the Texaco Doodlebug, a streamliner tanker designed by industrial design legends to make fuel deliveries look like the future. Built on a Diamond T chassis with bodies by Heil, the Doodlebug sat low, about 6 feet tall, and featured a rear engine and even a microphone setup so the driver could hear the engine from the front. It was elegant, quiet, and way ahead of its time. Not many were built, but the image of that rolling Art Deco capsule became part of American design history. A reminder that a truck can be a moving billboard for tomorrow. Now you might be thinking, nice showpieces, Do any of these ideas actually make better trucks? Time to meet a brand that answered that with a very loud yes, Tatra. If you ever wondered how a truck could bounce over boulders like a mountain goat and still keep every wheel biting, Tatra has the secret. Instead of a typical ladder frame, they use a rigid central backbone tube. Inside, the drivetrain runs like a spine, sending power to swinging half axles. The result? The frame stays strong, each wheel moves independently, and the truck flexes over terrain that would twist ordinary rigs into pretzels. The 813 and later 815 families took this concept to extremes. 8A8, 10X10, and even 12S12 layouts with multiple steering axles. They hauled missiles, rescued tanks, and dominated off-road rallies like Dakar. It's not just a weird idea. It's an engineering philosophy that survived for decades because it works. You're feeling warmed up now. Good, because the next machines don't just bend rules, they ignore them. But before we go there, quick reminder. If you love this kind of deep dive into mechanical madness, hit like so the algorithm knows you want more. Ready? The next one takes too big as a challenge.